All right. Good morning, folks. Ben Luna here with you in Studio B for the very first Local 43 TV Today episode, alongside a lifelong friend, actually, Ryan Egly, the CEO of the Lawrence County Chamber of Commerce, Lawrence County's Economic Development Director, and just all around really cool guy.
Well, thanks, Ben. Good morning.
It is good to, yeah, good morning. We were talking, and this is a live show. We're live right now at 7:17 in the morning, and I got to say, I've not missed doing early morning stuff.
No,
Not
no,
at all.
that holiday really spoiled us, I think.
I think it did. I think it did. But there's just a lot to talk about, and I wanted, really, I thought long and hard, okay, who do I want to make or ask to be the very first guest for this? And you have been at the top of the list since this idea was conceived, and it's finally good to have you sitting in here for this conversation.
Well, it's a privilege. Lawrence County loves to be first. I like to be first across the finish line, of course. If you know me, I'm a twin. I was second, the second born. So I'll shout out to the twin. I get to say I'm first on something today. So.
I did not realize that you were the youngest of the two.
2 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So
That's a 2 minute your mom will never forget.
oh, that's right.
So I love it. All right, let's jump right into it, because I know there's a lot of topics that I want to cover, ranging from kind of what you do daily for the community to when Chick-fil-A is coming to Lawrence County, and that's a long running joke between us, by the way, long running
Yep.
joke. But yeah, just kind of take this as the opportunity to talk to John Q. Public
Sure.
about what the Chamber of Commerce does, what your role is, and kind of, because you'll talk about, I know, through the year, the different projects that you work, and landing a company to come to this community, or really any community across the state, is not an easy task. It's not like picking up the phone and calling and saying, hey, you want to come build on this piece of property? We'll give
Right.
you a good deal. I
Right.
mean, it might be that easy, but you know.
Well, I think it used to be that easy. Companies were looking for places to do business with good people and appropriate, policy, and that's what we saw, I guess, back in the day when Murray was here, and want to go back a few decades. But I think it would be best to start with kind of the why. Growing up here, knowing you my whole life, we saw it all. We saw businesses come and go, and at the end of the day, our job as an organization is to make sure that our community and the people of our community, the next generation, has a future in our community. And so it came down to it where I went off to school, realized that, there's really nowhere like the hometown. How do we make it better? What organization does that? And a lot of times that's a nonprofit. Sometimes it's the government. Sometimes it's business. Sometimes it's just citizens and neighbors that care. And the Chamber of Commerce is what I found when I was kind of job searching after school, was kind of the meeting place for all of those things. The Chamber, if you don't know, is a public-private partnership made up of local governments, including county and cities, local utilities. More than 500 businesses are members of the Chamber of Commerce. We have nonprofits that are members, individuals that are members, that fund and support this idea that there has to be a future for the next generation in Lawrence County, Tennessee. And what does that mean to have a future? Well, good jobs, good schools, great place to live. It's maybe cliche, but a great place to live, work, and play.
Yes.
And when you go back just to things that happen nationally, like recessions, sometimes that impacts local, sometimes it doesn't. But what we've learned is if we can come out and say, hey, there's nowhere better than Lawrence County, Tennessee, and we sell that to a business, it's not necessarily us saying, hey, business, come in and run the show, but it's more like, hey, come alongside us and partner with us in what we're doing as a community. And to that end, we've done that pretty well at the Chamber, because our mission is not just bringing new businesses in, but it's welcoming new visitors, welcoming new neighbors, making sure that the programs in our schools match what the businesses need, so that the skilled trades, that gap that's there nationally isn't here locally, and we are doing a really good job of that. It's things such as our Leadership Lawrence program. It's things such as celebrating the Citizens of the Year, the Small Business of the Year, and it's all those things wrapped up that when we do have a company come in and say, hey, we're looking for a spot, What do you have? Well, by that point in time, we've done environmental studies, geotechnical studies. We've done utility engineering studies. We've purchased land. We've done everything we can. To your point, it's not saying, hey, come buy this farm. It's also more like, hey,
Be a part of the community.
be a part of the community. And we've done that. Like I mentioned, we've announced more than 1,300 jobs in my, I guess I've been at the chamber now 8 years and 5 months.
Wow.
That's crazy to think about. It really
does.
is.
I mean, it's
Yeah, it happens like that, and but it's changed. It's not just about any company coming to town. We want jobs, jobs, jobs. We want to make sure it's the right job that fits the skill set that we have developed, the culture we've created, and we're lucky again that just this past calendar year, 2023, we've announced almost 300 new jobs, 2 new companies, and that's not even counting the existing businesses that don't get the big press release and all of that. So. That was a long way to say, like, I'm so excited for our future. The rest of the 20s are going to be great, knock on wood. But being able to lead the organization, stand alongside partners like yourself, our professional staff, our board, our elected leadership, not everywhere in Tennessee, not everywhere in the nation has going on what we have going on here.
And there is a lot to take in and process about the recruitment guidelines,
Yeah.
and you've got to have a site. You've got to have that site surveyed and go through all of these different things. And so there is a lot to it, and I'm glad that you really communicated that, because people will often talk about, oh well, I've not seen a new business come in. Well, there's a lot of cogs moving in the background to make stuff happen.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. When the first year that I was working at the chamber in 2015, we had our annual meeting, and my previous boss mentioned something. I'll quote him saying, "The chamber does things that people think just happen," and that it really can't be said any better.
Yes.
That same year, I learned that success in our business looks a lot more like winning the Masters tournament versus having a winning college football season. If you win a Masters, you're one of the all-time greats forever, and you win, a small series of things. Well, that's what winning a company is like.
Mm-hmm.
You win a series of small things, like, okay, we developed the industrial park, we've developed a good workforce, we've responded appropriately to the request for information from the company, we've worked well with our partners, and all of a sudden that culminates into you get the green jacket and you hold the trophy up, right?
Yes.
And for us, that's a jobs announcement. And then, but here's the thing, turning back around to that, it's walking in the Tractor Supply and seeing a kid with the TCAT, which is the Tennessee College of Applied Technology. He has a hat on, and I said, hey, what are you studying? He said, well, I just graduated. I have a job at X industry you just brought in. That's, to me, that's the gold jacket trophy moment, seeing that kid get that future.
Talk about some of the success that 2023 brought. You've got a major construction project on the north side of town right now. Most people watching probably know what that is. If they don't, refresh them.
Sure.
And maybe if you can, tell us how many industries or companies look at us annually. How many of these do you have to go through before you land the one winner?
Sure. So I'll start with the former question before I get to the latter. So annually, we will receive about 100 requests for information, and what those look like are different. It depends on where the company's based, if a consultant or someone is representing the company. It's not as sexy as people think it is. It's not like a company comes in and they're here for a week and they're touring around. It really all starts with an Excel spreadsheet a lot of times, and so we'll get 100 of those annually. And we will not respond to all of them for a few reasons. Number one, we may not have the appropriate land. We may not meet certain metrics such as population or proximity to international airports, proximity to interstate. There are things that we don't. But typically, we're one of the more active communities, and that's because we have a great team around us that, one, can tackle it all together. We're all singing the same song when we sit down. We work with Vic Pusser and Cameron McCandless at Lawrenceburg Utility Systems very closely. We work with our local internet service providers. We work with our local governments, and we get those filled out, and that means that me and Ben Barnett specifically have to be very well versed in property taxes and all the data associated with our schools and the like. So we fill those out. Sometimes they'll come and visit, so keep this in mind. We get 100 a year. Let's say we fill out, I think last year we filled out somewhere between 65 and 70 of those requests. Because we had really good site inventory, we were able to host a number of those companies to town. Keep in mind, you're probably talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 visits. So, you're converting about a third of what you respond to. So it's very much a losing game. We feel like we're spinning our wheels a lot. With that said, because of the economy and the way it is right now, we can be selective. So we don't go after every single project, like I mentioned. It's not jobs. It's the right jobs in the right places. So say that to say this: last year was a banner year for us. Magna International was the largest project we announced last year. We did announce two. Blickman Industries was another. And I'll kind of walk through both of those if you'll allow me.
Yeah.
I'll start with Blickman, because you have to think about 18 months ago, we got word that a local business was going to consolidate operations back to Utah. And that business moved January. I guess it was December and January, 22 and 23, which means we had a building to backfill. Well, there aren't many buildings out there, especially in Middle Tennessee and North Alabama. And so we hosted a number of clients from all over the world. We had German clients, Korean clients, but we ended up courting a great company, again, Blickman Industries. They had operations both domestically and internationally. They were looking to consolidate to make their processes more efficient. And they announced about 50 jobs here, a few $1 million of investment. And so they're rehabbing currently a building on Motivation Drive. So if you're familiar where Cabinets to Go is in Lawrenceburg, we're very excited for that project. We announced that, I think it was July the 17th. It was actually the day of our annual meeting last year.
I remember that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And exactly a week later, on Thursday, we had the privilege of announcing Magna International. So, like I mentioned, this is it's rare to even have an announcement, but to have back-to-back announcements and then consistent announcements across the years is very rare. But that's a testament to our leadership in this community and our preparation. But Magna was a different deal. We started actually on President's Day of last year. And let me say this: projects sometimes they last as short as President's Day to May, and we knew in May we'd won Magna, or at least a piece of their investment here in Tennessee, and we didn't get to announce that until July. But you're still talking about a pretty short amount of time, February to July, from engagement to announcement. But some projects, we are working projects right now that go back a year or more. That's the type of evaluation businesses are looking for. But with Magna, they engaged us on President's Day. They came to visit. And what we knew about the project was it was going to be related to Blue Oval City in West Tennessee. So if you're not familiar with Blue Oval City, that is Ford Motor Company's recent investment. They purchased the Memphis mega site. And so they are building a massive operation there. And they need supplying operations. One of those supplying operations, of course, if you're building an automotive assembly plant, you need frames for the truck because it's the F-150 Lightning. There's also new to market things such as parts of the battery, whether it's electrolytes or cathode material, anode material, separator film, all these things that I didn't know anything about 18 months ago. I know way more about a battery today. But when Magna came to town, we knew that, hey, there's a piece of the business we really, really want, and it was the stamping plant for the frame. And we competed for the whole deal and part of the deal, and we were very blessed to get the part of the deal that we really wanted. But they came to visit about once every 2 weeks, it felt like.
Oh, wow.
Because it's no joke. When we're sitting down, we want to make sure that they're pulling data from third-party sources. We're paid to say good things about the community. They have to verify it for themselves. And it was no different than any other deal we've worked in the past 8 years and 5 months that I've been at the chamber. They came here and they said, this feels like a good place to do business. It feels like home. Just at the end of the day, the data's good. It supports the business case. But unless you have that, whatever that is, I like to say it's the pioneer spirit that we've had in our community's multi-century history. But they found that this is the best place to put the hub of their stamping operation. It's the first stamping plant they're building in North America in 31 years or 32 years, I believe. And so what you see now happening behind FedEx and Craig Manufacturing and H&M Bay there at Team Lawrence Commerce Park is you see about a 400,000 square foot building being built that will employ, and at that location, there will be about 250 employees, and that's a lot of jobs. $200 million investment. It's the single largest one-time investment in our community's history. And what's even more fun about that is it's spurred a lot more type of growth. It's given a lot more excitement, whether it's in retail or housing or things that we need to help support all the new jobs. And so I'll say all that to say this: that didn't happen though just last year. That entire project, if you really want to get down to it, started back in the year 2000 when the county purchased land. That's how forward thinking you have to be. The county purchased the industrial park, and then it was up to the chamber to steward that over that time, to market it, to study it, to make sure that there were any impediments that were there to be removed, whether it was trees or there was no road, and then we were able to get the grants to build a road back in 2018, and so it took time.
It doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't happen overnight,
No.
and sometimes it happens over a 2-decade
23
period.
years.
Yeah, exactly,
Wow.
exactly.
Talk about, and I know, and this is not a question that I'm asking you, because you cannot go on camera, you cannot go on radio or in a public setting and tell, hey man, we're entertaining this, and this,
Yeah.
because this is a highly competitive
Yep.
industry. This is a highly within itself.
Yep.
Not just it's recruiting industry is an industry.
Right.
And you have 95 or 94 other competitors that are out trying to land, some of these projects too.
Yep.
And even though we all work together as, the Grand State,
Yep.
everybody across the state wants that potential. On the forefront, and I know that 24 is going to be a big year, other big things coming. And this is also a milestone year for the chamber as well.
It is. So this year, the chamber will turn 75 years old. We haven't always been the organization we are today. We didn't really take on true economic development as the technical arm for and on behalf of the local governments and the businesses until the mid-2000s. But to that end, banner year for our organization, we have become the organization that we've always wanted to be. Now we're working to become an institution, and the way you do that is continued success. And so our bread and butter, and if you look back at all of our metrics, has been helping businesses that are looking to create somewhere in the 40 to 80 job range. In other communities around the state and really around the nation, everyone wants that multi-hundred to 1,000 job project announcement. By the way, we're not opposed to that, but we know that growth is better over time,
Yes.
like that, and incremental, so we can keep up with it. It also helps us solve for the formula or the problem that, how do you grow and stay the same? Because if you go from here to here really fast, you tend to almost change too quickly. But if you have incremental growth, you get to, become who you want to be while also staying who you are, and maybe in your mindset, or at least in the community's perspective, the culture. So to that end, we actually responded to our very first request for information of the year yesterday.
Oh wow! So it's already back.
It's already back,
Yeah.
and it it's something that people may be uneasy about the economy. What's interesting about what we've done here in the state of Tennessee, we're the lowest taxed per capita state in the nation, lowest debt per capita state in the nation. I need to probably go back and revise. Lowest tax, I think we're actually third lowest, but I think we're behind Alaska and South Dakota or something like that. So
Nobody.
yeah. I mean, nothing against those states,
Yeah.
but we have a great business climate. We have a lot of things figured out that other states don't, and to that end, we work very closely with our friends in the region. Whether it's Phil Reese or Elaine Middleton in Pulaski and Fayetteville, Renee Purdy in Waynesboro, whether it's the team down in the Shoals, we work with them too, because we understand that the Tennessee Valley, if we're going to continue to make sure that not only is there a future here in Lawrence County, but in our region, we all have to win. So we compete against regions now. But to your point about confidentiality, let's say I was a restaurateur, and let's say let's say I was a regional type of restaurant, and I wanted to have a new model. I wanted to launch something different. Well, it's not something that I can just go and announce day one that I'm thinking about doing, because all of a sudden, let's say my local restaurant here, let's say it's in Lawrenceburg, maybe they feel like, oh no, we're going to close this one. Well, that makes those employees, that makes the customer base uncertain about things. Well, when businesses are looking, it's the same thing. If they're looking to consolidate, well, what does that mean for the existing employment base? What does that look for, or what does that mean for the existing customer base? What does that look for competition? Or how does that look for competition, I should say? So things are very confidential on that side, but to that end, things are very confidential on the competing with each other side too, because it's like playing cards, right? Like, we have something that they don't have. But to that end, a lot of the companies you'll see us start going after, some announcements you will see this year are going to be under 100 jobs. Those are still very, very big deals, even though it may not get national or statewide press like other projects do. That's okay. For us, it's not about the press. It's about supporting the business. And again, going back to the why of what we do, creating a future for our people here.
And that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I know you've got a busy, busy day ahead, and a lot of things coming. Do want you to touch on, if you can, maybe a couple of the next big events that you've got coming up. I know you've done some press about it.
Yep.
But the state of the county?
Yes. Yeah, so it's funny, we actually had another meeting yesterday about just what this year looks like. And we're piloting and launching 2 new events this year. These events are, again, they're piloting, so they're smaller. And so we launched to our select group of key investors and local elected officials, one of those being the state of the county. And so what the state of the county has been is this chance to give a platform to the county executive, to the mayors, to the director of schools, and to some business leaders to say, hey, here's where we are today. Because a lot of times we all get so wrapped up working day to day at our desk, and I live this and breathe this every day, as do many of our elected leaders. But it really is a chance for us to say, hey, here's what the population projection is for the next X years. Here's how our schools are doing. Here are the big initiatives the county is driving this year, and it's a chance to get people in the room to say, hey, look, straight from the horse's mouth, here's what's happening, what we're finding pretty quickly, because we were hoping to have a small launch to get some of the public stuff there. When we did the targeted launch, the event sold out. So on January 30th, we're very excited. We will have 100 people at a venue. I don't want to name it because it's not open to the public at this point. But I do believe we're going to have a online option. It's going to be recorded, and I think we're going to partner with a pretty cool business to video that and have a really good production. So don't worry. If you are a member that isn't able to come, or a member of the public that's interested in the event, State of the County, all that will be made available to you. We're also working, in fact, we're going to turn it around today, a really beautiful program that has all of the data and everything that's going to be presented there. So that we're going to print, I think, 600 or 650 copies of those. So we're going to distribute those. But that's just one. We're also going to be more active in Nashville. Believe it or not, there are people across the state that wake up every day that say, how do we help Lawrence County today? There are people that do that. However, if you're not up there poking and prodding, which is one of our jobs,
you get forgotten.
You get forgotten.
Yeah.
So we're excited. We're going to do a day on the Hill with the chamber board and some elected officials this year. Very excited about that. That's going to be in February. But then, of course, we have our normal things, our golf tournaments in May, something different this year. Our annual meetings typically in the summer, but since it's our 75th anniversary, we're going to kick that to October.
I'm really looking forward to that change. I think that's going to be cool.
Well, and it's interesting, when you go back to, I think, 2019, we had it in October, and it was at the airport, actually.
I remember that.
I'm still sweating from it.
Yes, I remember
it was
that
a very hot October. So to that end, if you want to start preparing, Ben, the weather for October 24th, that would be helpful. But that's going to be our 75th anniversary. And then, of course, some people don't know this, but we also put on the Christmas parade. So that's coming as well. But we have again, it's going to be a banner year for us. Some very good news we'll have this month, some programs that we've completed, some hopefully a new industry announcement in the first quarter of this year also. Very excited for that. You're going to see some expansion projects. We're very excited for that, and that's going to become more of our focus, is helping existing businesses grow. So.
And I want to ask you this, and kind of lead into the close with this, and I had not planned on getting into this, but I think it's very important to somebody, because this interview and this broadcast will live on social media for years to come.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be cool to maybe look back one day and say, hey, look at this was 2024, 2034. Look where
Right,
we are now.
right.
And I might be hunched over with, a lot more gray of what hair I have left. But if somebody's watching this later today, the next week or two, maybe even later into 24, and you have caught their ear because what you've done is spent the past several minutes selling this community to people watching wherever. If somebody wants to be a part of the chamber, if they want to be a part of this and the things that are going on here, how can they go about doing that?
Yeah.
What options are available for them?
Right, and I like how you pose that question because the answer is it depends. It depends on what your interest is. If you are a business, whether it's a restaurant, a boutique, a small manufacturing operation, a large manufacturing operation, it's very easy to get a hold of us. It's a simple email or phone call. It's a coffee or a lunch meeting just for us to learn about your business. If you're interested in relocating that business here, it's us studying, like, hey, what do you do? Do we have the appropriate infrastructure? Which most times we will, because Lawrenceburg Utility Systems and other utilities are so well prepared. But one way is just a simple phone call. And you can reach us at area code 931-762-4911. It's a very simple phone call. My email address is published out there. It's ryan@lawcotn.com. So ryan@lawcotn.com. And that's something that either myself or Mr. Ben Barnett is going to handle for us as our project manager. Maybe your interest, however, though, is moving here or visiting here. We have a team for that too. So Keely Allen is our VP of Community Development. Emma Thigpen is our program manager. And Kristen Doss is our marketing manager. So if you're looking to maybe understand or see like what's going on this weekend, it's going to be good to call Kristen or Keely. If you're interested in moving here and then wanting to get involved in as far as like, hey, what's going on in the community, that's going to be Emma Thigpen. She manages our Leadership Lawrence program, for example. But at the end of the day, all of us, even Jansen, Kelly in the office, who really runs the organization for us as far as doing the accounting day to day, we're glad to sit down with anyone at any time to say, hey, what about X? Here's how you do Y here in Lawrence County. And whether you're local or looking to move here, your business, your family, yourself to visit, whatever that is. But we aren't able to do that without our partners. So if you are an existing business in Lawrence County and want to get more involved in what we're doing to make sure that we have a future here, we do that through different types of investment and membership. We have the basic levels, $250 a year. We have some marketing opportunities, some networking opportunities for you at that level. Of course, we have various tiers of membership going all the way up actually to $10,000, and we're very, very blessed to have corporate partners that partner with us in that way. I would start naming them, but that's a very dangerous thing to do live.
That,
yeah.
yes.
But to that end, more than 500 businesses.
Wow.
That's more than 70% of Lawrence County's employers are
Wow.
members of the chamber. That's not the case in all communities, and so if you want to be a part of doing something really cool in our community, working to the future. Again, give us a call, send us an email. We love coffee, and so we're glad to sit down and
The
do
coffee
that.
pot works, by the
Yeah,
way. It's
good.
in there.
Good.
Final question.
Okay.
Two final questions. One, what if somebody walked in and said, Ryan Egly had just won the lottery, I'm going to let you build the one piece of infrastructure or the one thing that sets Lawrence County completely apart from everybody else, what would it be?
And it's funny, I've had a lot of these conversations with the Powerball being as high as it's been over the holiday. Apart from a really nice vacation, certainly the piece of infrastructure I would be looking for next would be education focused. And it's not going to be the typical education focused thing. So when I think about needs, right? And so I have a lot of friends, and we've done a great job here in Lawrence County promoting the skilled trades. But I have a lot of friends that have gone on to a Tennessee College of Applied Technology. They are electricians. They are welders. They are
Computer programmers.
Computer programmers. And what we're finding, what I'm seeing right now, is a lot of those people are entrepreneurial in spirit. Well, they're from Lawrence County. A lot of them are. They're pioneers at heart. So they want to do something entrepreneurial, and they may want to go into business for themselves, and maybe they don't know how to do that. And so, to me, the next investment, if I were to win the lottery, the next piece of infrastructure investment that we need would be, I don't want to call it an entrepreneurial center, because I don't know that it's necessarily, that gives the right vibe either. I really want to call it an innovation center, is probably,
I love that.
is something that would be a big deal for us, just because how do you go from having a skill to taking that and turning that into a business, right? Moving beyond just being a worker to being an owner. And so that's something that I think would be pretty cool. We've had conversations about that, don't mind telling you, whether it's with our partners at the University of Tennessee Southern or Columbia State or in our schools. But it would be easier if I hit the lottery to get that done. But yeah.
Final question.
Okay.
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. Oh, gracious. Oh, my goodness.
That's a whole separate conversation.
It's a whole separate conversation,
Yes.
but I'll say this, Ben. Never say never.
Yes.
We are, if you just look at the last quarter at the food industry growth
Yes.
in our community, you look downtown especially, and what's happening with the Pie Factory in 1819 and various businesses being purchased, legacy businesses like Square 40 being purchased and still being operated. I would say, and let's say by 2034, someone goes back and
Yeah.
watches this, I think by 2030, you'll see the metrics match up to where Chick-fil-A says, oh yeah, Lawrenceburg, Tennessee needs a Chick-fil-A, and I don't mind telling you, there have been people that have gone after that business, meaning there's a franchise fee. You have to go through Chick-fil-A
Yes, you do.
University.
Yes.
And that's unique, right?
Yes.
Other franchises don't have those requirements, but that's how Chick-fil-A maintains its quality. So to that end, I'm going to project by 2030, and sure, viewers, take this to the bank. We'll have a Chick-fil-A in Lawrence County, Tennessee. Okay.
All right, maybe that's announced sooner, 2024. You never know. But the moral of the story is everything takes time.
It does.
Have patience.
Yep.
And put faith where faith is due.
That's right.
And it's right here.
Thanks,
Ryan
Ben.
Egly, thank you very much.
Thanks, Ben.
Folks, that concludes the very first 43 TV today, live from Studio B at the Tennessee Valley Media Broadcast Center. I need to come up with a shorter name for this thing. Anyway, thank you for tuning in, for watching this. Hope you have a very blessed day, a wonderful weekend, and as always, we'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.